We have sad news in the world of baseball, even though I would have posted this video yesterday, but I worked the late night, 3 to 11 at my other job. So I've been posting it today because I'm off. So for baseball, the saddest news that we had was Lewis Clark Brock, a baseball player who played from 61 to 79 and was the record holder in steals until Ricky Henderson came along, has died. Lou Brock was 81 years old, and the Cubs made a mistake in trading him and giving up on him. But he was an American League professional baseball outfielder. He began his 19-year career by starting off in 1961 with the Cubs, but spent the last 15 years of his career as a left fielder for the St. Louis Cocksuckers. Brock was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in '85 and the St. Louis Cocksuckers Hall of Fame in 2014. And when he retired, he became a special instructor coach for the St. Louis Cocksuckers. He had just turned 81 back in June. Now, Brock wasn't a power hitter, even though he aspired to be one. In his career, he had 3,023 hits, 149 homers, 900 runs batted in, and at the time that he retired in '79, he had been the record holder with 938 steals until, like I said, Ricky Henderson came along and broke that record. He did have a .293 career batting average. He won 2 World Series with the St. Louis Cocksuckers in '64 and '67. He was selected to the All-Star game 6 times. His number 20 is retired by the St. Louis Cocksuckers at 8 different times in his career. He led the league in stolen bases. He led the league in stolen bases from '66 to '69 and 1971 to '74. Brock was best known for breaking Ty Cobb's all-time Major League stolen base record in 1977, and he was an All-Star for 6 seasons and a National League stolen base leader for 8 different seasons. Brock led the National League in doubles and triples in 1968, and he also led the league in singles in 1972, and he was a runner-up for National League Most Valuable Player Award in '74. Brock was born in El Dorado, Arkansas, to a family of sharecroppers. His family moved to Collinston, Louisiana when he was 2 years old. His family did not have much money, but he said that he never felt poor because he says if you don't have something, you can't miss it. Brock grew up as a fan of the Dodgers. At the time, they were based in Brooklyn. And he grew up being a fan of the Dodgers, the team that included Jackie Robinson, Don Newcombe, and Roy Campanella. Although Brock did not play organized baseball until he reached his junior year in high school, he learned much about the sport from listening to the Cocksuckers broadcaster Harry Carey describe the way the major league hitter stood at the plate. After attending high school in Merauge, Louisiana, he received academic assistance to attend Southern University in Baton Rouge, but when a low grade in his first semester met the possibility of losing his scholarship, he decided to try out for the school's baseball team in order to secure an athletic scholarship. In his first year of college eligibility, Brock only hit 180, had his lowest batting average at 189 in his first year of college baseball. But starting his sophomore year, he followed that up with a 500 average. Southern University won the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics baseball championship during his junior year, and Brock was selected for the United States baseball team in 1959 Pan American Games. When Brock decided to try for a professional baseball career, he traveled to St. Louis to try out for the Cocksuckers, but the scout who had recommended him was in Seattle to sign Ray Washburn. So he then decided to try out for the Chicago Cubs, who signed him as an amateur free agent in 1960. He was set to play for the St. Cloud Rocks. Brock won the 1961 Northern League batting champion with the .361 batting average. Brock made his major league debut with the Cubs on September 10th of 1961 at the age of 22. In his rookie season of 1962, Brock became one of the 4 players to hit a home run in the center field bleachers at the Polo Grounds in New York City since 1973. Since his 1923 reconstruction. I'm sorry, I'm not fully awake yet. His blast came against Al Jackson in the first game of a June 17th doubleheader against the New York Mets, and was one of 2 that cleared the wall in consecutive days, with Hank Aaron's coming the day after. Joe Adcock was the first to hit a ball over that wall in 1953. Babe Ruth had reached the old bleachers, which was a comparable distance before the reconstruction. Brock was not known as a power hitter, even though he aspired to be one. Brock had great speed and base-running instincts, but the young right fielder failed to impress the Cubs management, hitting only for a combined .260 average over the first 2 seasons of his career there. In 1964, after losing patience with his development, the Cubs gave up on Brock and made him a part of a trade with the St. Louis Cocksuckers. The June 15th deadline deal for pitcher Ernie Broglio saw Brock, Jack Spring and Paul Toth head to St. Louis for Broglio, Bobby Shant, and Doug Clemens. The Cocksuckers manager, Bing Devine, specifically brought Bruck at the insistence of Cocksuckers manager Johnny Keane to increase team speed and solidify the Cocksuckers lineup, which was struggling after the recent retirement of left fielder Stan Musial in '63. At the time, many thought the deal was a heist for the Cubs. Broglio had led the National League in wins for 4 years earlier and had only won 18 games the season before the trade. After Brock was traded to the Cocksuckers, his career turned around significantly. He moved to left field and batted .348 and stole 33 bases for the remainder of the '64 season. At the time of the trade, the Cocksuckers were 28-31 in 8th place in the National League, trailing even the Cubs, who were 27-27 and in 6th place. Brock helped the Cocksuckers storm from behind to capture the National League pennant on the last day of the season. 4 months to the day after Brock's trade, the Cocksuckers won the 1964 World Series in 7 games over the favored New York Mets, who were appearing in or New York Yankees. Sorry, they were playing. They were like I said, they were playing in 1964. The Cocksuckers were playing the favored New York Yankees, who were appearing in their 14th World Series in 16 years, and their last until a dozen years later. Brock's contributions to the Cocksuckers championship season were recognized when he finished in 10th place for the 1964 National League Most Valuable Player Award. Meanwhile, Broglio won only 7 games for the Cubs before retiring from baseball after the '66 season. To this day, the trade of Brock for Broglio is considered to be one of the worst deals in baseball history that the Cubs had ever made, and it still is. In 1966, Brock ended Maury Willis's 6-year reign as the National League stolen base champion with 74 steals. In David Halberstam's book in October of '64, the author states that manager Johnny Keane asked Brock to forego hitting home runs in favor of stealing bases. Brock went on to lead the National League in stolen bases 8 times within a 9-year span, going from '66 to '74. The only year he did not lead the league in steals was in 1970 because he lost out to Bobby Tolan for the '70 season. Brock began the 1967 season by hitting 5 home runs in the first 4 games of the season, becoming the first player to do so, and Barry Bonds tied this record in 2002. He was hitting for a .328 average by mid-June to earn the nod as the starting left fielder for the National League All-Star Game in '67. After suffering through a mid-season slump, he recovered to finish the season with a career-high 206 hits and a .299 batting average, while leading the league in stolen bases and runs scored as the Cocksuckers won the National League pennant by 10.5 games. Brock became the first player to steal 50 bases and hit 20 home runs in the same season. In the 1967 World Series, Brock hit for a .414 average, scored 8 runs instead of a World Series record, with 7 stolen bases as the Cocksuckers defeated the Boston Red Sox in 7 games. The Cocksuckers won the National League pennant for the 2nd consecutive year in 1968 as Brock once again led the league in stolen bases as well as doubles and triples. In the 1968 World Series against the Detroit Tigers, Brock had 3 stolen bases in Game 3 and contributed a double, triple, home run, and 4 runs batted in during Game 4 to help the Cocksuckers build a 3-1 advantage over the Tigers. The Cocksuckers appeared to be on the verge of winning a 2nd consecutive World Series going into the 5th inning of a Game 5 with a 3-2 lead. Although Brock's base running abilities had proven to be a factor in the previous 4 games, his carelessness may have cost the Cocksuckers a run. After Brock had hit a double, he tried to score standing up on Julian Javier's single to left, but Willie Horton threw him out with a strong throw to home plate. Detroit rallied for 3 runs in the 7th inning as Mickey Lolich shut out the Cocksuckers for the final 8 innings to win the game for the Tigers. In Game 7, Brock had another crucial miscue when he was picked off base by Lolich, extinguishing a possible Cocksuckers rally. The Tigers rallied for being down 3-1 behind the excellent pitching of Mickey Lolich to win the World Series. Brock once again stole 7 bases and was the leading hitter in the series, posting a .464 batting average with 6 runs and 5 runs batted in. In 1969, Brock produced 6 consecutive seasons with 190 hits or more. He was named National League Player of the Year for the first 3 times in his career, starting in May of '71 with a .405 batting average and 8 stolen bases. In August 1973, he broke a record that was set by Ty Cobb when he stole his 50th base of the season, marking the 9th time in his career that he had stolen 50 bases or more. Brock won his National League Player of the Month award in August of '74, marking one of only 4 times the award was given to a player who slugged below .500. In 1972, Brock improved on Maury Willis's method by, instead of trying to maximize leadoff distance, he focused on starting with a little momentum. Brock pioneered the rolling start, which states which is later Sports Illustrated article, which also maintains that base stealing tends to be overrated as a factor in team success. On September 10th of 1974, Brock had tied Willis's single-season record with the 104 steals with the first inning steal of a second base, and then captured sole possession of another swipe of second in the seventh inning. He ended the season with a new major league single-season record of 118 stolen bases for that season. Brock finished second to Steve Garvey in the balloting for the 74 National League Most Valuable Player Award. In a game against the San Diego Padres on August 29th of 1977 at San Diego Stadium, Brock became the all-time Major League stolen base leader when he broke Ty Cobb's record of 892 stolen bases. That record has been one of the most durable in baseball history, and like Babe Ruth's record of 714 home runs, many observers had considered those records unbreakable. Brock held this record until 1991 on May 31st, when it was broken by Rickey Henderson of the Oakland Athletics, and Rickey Henderson would go on to steal 1,004, and Rickey Henderson right now is the stolen base record holder with 1,406. And many people are going to say that's not breakable, which unless you can steal a couple hundred bases a year, then that's the only way I could see that being broken. Brock remained best known for his base stealing and starting cocksuckers rallies. He was said to have disliked Willis's method of base stealing, instead shortening his leads and going hard. He was also an early student of the game films. In 1964, Brock acquired a movie camera and filmed opposing pitchers from the dugout to study their windups and pickoff moves, and that would detect weakness, and he would exploit it. Brock fell into an early slump in the early 1978 season and lost the left fielder's job. However, he did fall back during spring training in '79 with a .345 batting average to regain his starting job. Brock was named Player of the Month for the month of May of 1979 when he produced a .433 batting average. On August 13th, 1979, Brock became the 14th player in Major League history to reach 3,000 hits against the team that traded him to the Cubs. Approximately 1 month later, Carl Yastrzemski reached the same plateau and was promptly invited to the White House by Massachusetts native and Speaker of the House Tip O'Neill. Brock was reported to have felt slighted that he hadn't received a similar rotation. Brock originally stated that he wouldn't go to the White House even if he was invited. However, after consideration, he decided that forgiveness was the best course and accepted a belated invitation to meet with the president then. Brock had retired at season's end, having retired at season's end of the '79 season, having posted a .304 batting average in his last season at the age of 40. At the end of the season, he was named the National League Comeback Player of the Year award, the first player to be so named in his first Major League season. And through Brock's career, he played 19 seasons. Brock had played 2,616 games and accumulated 3,023 hits, and he did bat 10,332 times, and that evened out to 293 batting average with 486 doubles, 141 triples, 149 career home runs, 900 RBIs, 1,610 runs scored, and 938 career stolen bases, and 761 walks. He had a .343 on base percentage and a .410 slugging percentage. A six-time All-Star, he hit over 308 times in his career, and he ended his career with a .959 career fielding percentage. Brock had held the single-season stolen base record with 118 until it was broken by Rickey Henderson in 1982. He also held the Major League record for career stolen bases with 938 until it was broken by Henderson in 1991. In 1991, the National League. He led the National League in stolen bases for a record 8 times and had a record 12 consecutive seasons with 50 steals or more. Brock is still the National League's leader in career stolen bases. Brock's .391 World Series batting average is the highest for anyone who played over 20 series games. His 14 stolen bases in the World Series player, also a series record that still stands. Brock's 13 hits in the 1968 World Series tied a single series record previously held by Bobby Richardson in 1964. Against the Cocksuckers team, and was in turn later tied in 1986 by Marty Barrett. Brock was the first player ever to bat in a Major League regular season game in Canada, leading off against Montreal Expos pitcher Larry Jaster, which the Expos don't exist anymore, not by that name anyway, in the Cocksuckers April 14, 1969 game at Jerry Park. He lined out to second baseman Gary Sutherland. Brock had received numerous awards during his playing career. In January of '68, he was named the recipient of the Babe Ruth Award as the outstanding player in the 1967 World Series. Brock was honored with the Sporting News Player of the Year award in '74 in the wake of his record-setting 118 stolen bases during the '74 season. Brock was named the winner of the Roberto Clemente Award in March of '75 for best exemplifying the game of baseball, both on and off the field. In 1977, he was awarded the Lou Gehrig Memorial Award as the player who best exemplified Lou Gehrig's ability and character. In 1978, the National League announced that its annual stolen base leader would receive the Lou Brock Award, making Brock the first active player to have an award named after him. In October of '79, Brock was named the National League's Comeback Player of the Year. In December of '79, he was named as the recipient of the Hutch Award, given to the player who best exemplifies the fighting spirit and competitive desire of Fred Hutchinson. Also on September 9th of 1979, the St. Louis Cocksuckers had retired Lou Brock's jersey number 20, an honor that had previously been bestowed upon only 3 other Cocksuckers players, which were Stan Musial, Dizzy Dean, and Bob Gibson. In 1983, he was inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. In 2014, the Cocksuckers announced that Brock, among 22 former players and personnel, were to be inducted into the St. Louis Cocksuckers Hall of Fame for its inaugural class of 2014. Brock was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in '85, his first year of eligibility. He was inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame in 1992, and Brock was inducted into the St. Louis Walk of Fame in May of 1994 and 1995. He was inducted into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame in 1999. He was ranked number 58 on the Sporting News list of the 100 greatest baseball players ever, and was nominated as a finalist for the Major League Baseball All-Century Team. After retiring from baseball, Brock prospered as a businessman, especially as a flower person in the St. Louis, Missouri area. He briefly worked as a color analyst for Monday Night Baseball on ABC in 1980 and for the Chicago White Sox telecast the following year. Brock regularly appeared at Cocksuckers games. When he stepped onto the field, he was always greeted by a loud, low-pitched cheer of Lou. He also lent his name to a unique rain hat shaped like a miniature umbrella, and to be worn at games during showers in lieu of retreating to the concourse. The product was called the Brock Umbrella. Lou Brock and his wife Jackie were both ordained ministers serving at Abundant Life Fellow Church in St. Louis. He was a director on the board of YTB International. Brock's speed was referenced in the song "Check the Rhyme" by the pioneering jazz rap hip hop ensemble A Tribe Called Quest. On December 5th of 2006, he was recognized for his accomplishments on and off the field when he received the Bobby Bregan Youth Foundation Lifetime Achievement Award. Brock was the father of former University of Southern California Trojan and National League football player Lou Brock Jr. During the later years, Brock's left leg was amputated below the knee in October of 2015 because of an infection related to a complication of diabetes that he had. He announced on April 13th of 2017 that he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a cancer in the blood that starts in the bone marrow's plasma cells. On July 28th of 2017, Brock and his wife said that they had received word from Mercy Hospital's doctors that according to their blood test, the cancer cells were gone. Brock said that cancer had been declining for some time, but they had reports that it was 25% gone, then 50% gone, and then 75% gone. The doctors were absolute. Cancer was not there. Brock's death was announced yesterday, and he was only 81 years old. So if he had diabetes or cancer, and there's no guarantee if the cancer ever returned or not, but if it did, that could have been a cause, and diabetes also could have been a cause of his death too. So either one of those two could have been a factor. Also, because he was 81 years old, it could have been old fuckitis. So that could be a possibility also. But yeah.